So this is disk management. Already we are in the disk management. Okay. So to do the disk management, you can use diskpart command. So open the command prompt as a run as administrator also you can open. So better is always a run as administrator, cmd, open run as administrator. Okay, so you must administrative permissions. Small screen, so I try to increase the size. Okay, like this. Put a disk part command. Caps are small, no problem. So using this disk part, when you are into the disk part, you can able to manage this, like creating a partitions, check the disk partitions, so many other troubleshooting things you can do. So just I'm showing only one command, that is list disk. Sorry, list disk. Okay, so I have a two hard disk. It is showing like this. Okay, I'm not showing other commands because do not try this thing in your system, guys. If it is a virtual machine, no problem. Okay, physical machine means without knowing, don't try it. So don't try some with a dummy mind kind of stuff. Okay, so be alert and do it. That's the important point. So one is using disk part command. You can do it. Okay. So need to understand first, then only you can try with the command prompts, even GUI mode also. Next one is Diskmgmt.msc, which is I open like this. So same thing I will open from run or a search also you can type diskmgmt.msc. Okay. So this is the disk management. So I have a two hard disk. This is the second one is virtual hard disk. Just I try to show something to you like this. In generally, mm, no, no, sound. So for example, this is 100 GB hard disk, guys. And so today 100 GB hard disk, and I created as a single volume. Okay, understand? I take a 100 GB hard disk. I created as a single volume F drive currently. Okay, next. It contains, for example, it contains a 20 GB data, for example. So how much free space? 20 GB data in the 100 GB hard disk. How much free space I'm having? Okay. 80 GB free space is there.
80 GB.
80 GB free space is there. Very good. Now, I think I want a 40 GB out of this 80 GB free space, or maybe 50 GB, 20 GB, you can take it. So I'm taking a 40 GB out of 80 GB free space. We start 80 GB, I'm free space. Out of 80 GB, I'm getting 40 GB. I want to create a some partition. I want to take it out from 100 GB. Total 100 GB. So I want to cut 40 GB from this 100 GB total drive or partition. Okay. In a 100 GB partition, I want to cut 40 GB. How can I? Because I got a more than 40 GB free space is there. So this is become 60 GB. This is become 40 GB. So how to do it? Shrink volume. Option is shrink volume. So look at this. Right click, shrink volume. Okay, shrink volume. So we can try this one also. So you have to select, this is right click, and this is shrink volume. Okay. Next, when you do shrink volume, first of all, it will verify how much uh, space you can able to shrink it. As I said, if it is 20 GB free, is 20 GB data is there, so you will get a 80 GB for a shrink volume, maybe less than 80 GB shrink volume. Sometimes you have to do defragmentation if in case we want to do it. Okay, now I want to take 40 GB, 40960. 4096 means 4 GB. Another 0 means 40 GB. So 40 GB, I want to shrink it. So total shrinkable volume. So total volume, shrinkable volume. And this is, I want to shrink this much volume. The 60 GB is going to for a E drive, 40 GB is unallocated. Okay. So given this is a 40 GB for a shrinking purpose. Shrink. So it is 60 GB. Now it is 40 GB unallocated shrinking volume. Okay, so this is 60 GB or E drive. Okay, you can see E drive also. See, it is showing 60 GB, 40 GB unallocated. Next, guys, I want to create some 20 GB drive in this 40 GB volume. Okay, I want to create the 20 GB volume. So I select on this one, right click, and I select new simple volume. It is new simple volume. Next, right click, new simple volume. Okay, remaining steps, I will remaining all next only. This is important. Okay, so how much volume I want? 20 GB. 2048 is 2 GB, 20 GB. So this is 20 GB. New simple volume. Okay. Next, next. So you can use quick performance, NTFS, this one. So no need to change anything by default. Okay. What are the things? No need to change, guys. So once you are learn which partition type you want to create, like which file system you want to create, like that, you can select it. Okay, specific file system you want to create, you can select it. Otherwise, you can leave it. So generally, NTFS is there. Generally, it is NTFS. Generally, I'll select NTFS only. And second is this check mark is important. Okay. Label if it is your wish. Label is your wish. So it's NTFS. Next, finish. So this is my value. So I created. Hmm? So I created E drive is already there. F drive I have created new simple volume. Successful I created new simple volume. Okay, new simple volume is created. Not this. This is right. So what we are created, guys? New simple volume created. We done a shrinking and extending. What is meant by extending? Okay. For example, in this same scenario, what we have done. So look at same thing. 100 GB hard disk total, and 100 GB F drive earlier. It is 100 GB hard disk now. This is 60 GB F drive or E drive, something it is there now. So it is 60 GB drive, and then I created 20 GB drive, 20 GB F. This is E. How much is available? 20 GB unallocated. Unallocated. For example, I want to add a 4 GB, maybe 10 GB. I want to add a 10 GB from this 20 GB to this 20 GB using extend, using extend option. Okay. So what I'm doing, I want to extend the volume. So right click, select extend volume. Okay. Right click, select extended volume. Select extended volume. Right. So extended volume. How much you want to extend? Next. Not entire 20 GB. I'm extending only 10 because 20 GB is unallocated. I will take 10 GB from it. I will take 10 GB from it. 10240 means 10 GB. I'm adding from this 20 GB to this 20 GB. So if I add like that, this is become 30 GB. This is become 10 GB.
10 GB.
Very good. I have to take short. So I put a here the 10 GB. So I'm adding 10 GB from here to here. So it is become 30. This is become 10. Now it is, you can see 30 GB and this is 10 GB. So now it is 30. This is 10 now. Size increases. Okay, like this. For example, here I want to shrink, guys. For example, it just see, I'm shrinking from E drive again. So only 4096 means only 4 GB I'm shrinking. Okay. So like this in between, otherwise delete it. I will tell one string extending. So I'm adding that one. Sorry. So this still I have a 60 GB is there. What I'm doing is in the 60 GB I'm shrinking some 10 GB from 60 GB or 20 GB. 20480 20 GB. I'm shrinking because it is having 60 GB free space. So it is 40, 20, 30, 10. 20, 30 is not adding to each other. See, separate, separate. Okay. So I think you got the point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is always separate, guys. You are separating from here. So then it is stay here only. It is not adding to this part. But totally 30 GB unallocated, but still it is separate, separate. So because you cannot combine those things. In generally now maybe these options are changes. You can add this one to here, you can add this one to here, but you cannot add this one to here. And you cannot add this to here in generally. Okay. So maybe in Windows 10 maybe options are different. So I want to extend. So it is showing 10 GB only can extend. You can't extend, you can't add 220 to here. Here you can see extend from E drive. 20 GB only you can add it because 20 GB is available here. 10 GB is not here. Okay. You want to add this 30 GB. If data is there, remove, transfer the data, delete, combine, and we can extend. Okay. For example, this is I created a volume. Okay. So I want to combine this 40, 60. I want to combine this 40 plus 60. How to do it? Again, this is a disk. First of all, this is 40 and I created 20 and this is 30 and this is 10. These are the partitions. Now this 20 part not having more data or maybe some data is there, but I want to increase my size. So what I have to do? First, if it is data is there, transfer data into some external hard disk, delete the data, delete the drive. First of all, delete it, become unallocated and extend. Okay. First we have to do transfer the data. Data is not there. So first I'm deleting it. If data is there, transfer the data. Then delete a partition. Next, it become unallocated, extended. Okay. So what option I have to take? delete volume. Very good. So I have to choose delete a volume because I want to combine this to here. I want to combine this 20 GB to here, then it is totally become again 60 GB. So delete a volume, yes, this is 20 GB. Now extending, right click, extend a volume. Yeah, right click, extend a volume. So then this unallocated 20 GB, I can combine to this. Then dot rate is become 60 GB. What I'm doing now, it is extending. Extend volume. Next, the total 20 GB I'm doing. Okay, it's not a part of it. Total 20 GB. I'm doing this. Yeah, we no need to take all screenshots. Just the total 20 GB. This is entirely we are adding. This totally we are adding. Three. Next, finish. Now it is 60 GB. Now it is okay. Now it is our 60 GB. Okay. Understand, guys, how to do disk management.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So how to create,
Yes, sir.
extended, delete it. Okay.
Yes,
And in disk management, as we seen how earlier, like how to initialize the disk offline, online, we can convert a disk into basic to dynamic, which you should not do it. Never do it in your system, that too. Okay. If you convert a basic to dynamic, you cannot reconvert it. Okay. So don't do that one in your physical machines. Convert into MBR and GP, that is we have seen. And using disk management also, guys, we can do write management, means simple volume, spanned volume, stripped volume, mirror volume, this kind of stuff. If when you see, you can see spanned volume, stripped volume, mirror volume, write five kind of options also we are getting. These are the volumes. So it's a different points are there in that volume. Okay. You have seen this command called a disk get a disk command. Already I showed. Somewhere it is running. Yes, it is. Get a disk command. Using a PowerShell command prompt also you can get it. Some are disk partition, MBR, ZPT differences wise. Also I put as some few things. For this is a disk management. You can delete if you want it also. Okay, that is a virtual disk. That's why I done so many things. Okay, the original disk is located here. These volumes are not required. Where it is? This is the virtual hard disk file. Okay, this is my virtual hard disk file. So in a disk management, you are seeing the second disk, 100 GB disk. It is in the form of file in the normal system. Okay, so that is virtual. If I detach the things, okay, you can observe, guys. Here it is. This PC, and you see F drive, E drive. Here, you can go to this E drive, F drive, 60 GB, 30 GB, 60 GB, 30 GB. I am detaching drive, so drive is removed. Then where is this 30 GB, 60 GB kind of stuff gone? Because original disk is located in this place on. Okay. If I mounted this one, so right click, all time on sir. Okay. So if you mount it, okay, it is again it will be attached. See, it is attached. You can see the drives from here. This is E drive, F drive. So that is the use of virtual hard disk. Okay. So that's why I'm done. I am done. I am not touching my physical hard disk. Actually, it is SSD. So even whatever it is, I am not touching it. I am touched that only for my practicals and to show you that one. Okay. The last one, guys, for today, just small amounts. We'll take it. So tomorrow we'll continue with the boot processing. Today I will tell about this file system. After file system, we will discuss tomorrow about a boot processing, or otherwise I will start a operating system. Okay. So tomorrow is a Friday, right? So it's good. We'll start with the boot processing part. Then we'll discuss. So today we will complete this, our file system. File system. What is this file system, guys? You have created a partition. And why we are create a partition? To store some data. It can be an operating system. It can be an application data. It can be regular data. A data can be a music files, or maybe video files, or a documents. So you have to store a data in the device in a specific space. But how to store, how to allocate, how to arrange the data on this storage space is defined by file system. Word format. Anybody tell what is format? Hmm? No problem. Any answer acceptable, guys.
To clear the data. To clear the data.
Very good. So in generally, we use a format word, like your friend given a pen drive, or your friend asked a pen drive, then can I format it? So format means what are the data will be gone. That is the usually we are using the format word for clearing the data. What are the data content in it? Instead of deleting, just we can do the format. But originally the format means it is defining file system. Defining file system. So it defines what file system it should be there. For example, if it is a fat file system, then how data is allocated into the drive. If it is a NTFS type of file system, how data is stored into that drive. Okay. So format is means defining a file system, or redefining the file system. I said defining or redefining the file system means you can define as NTFS, or you can define it as a NTFS. I means already NTFS file system is there. You can redefine it. It is an NTFS means simply it is remove and make it as a again same file system. That's why I said redefine. Redefine means it is already having some file system. So you can define as a different file system or same file system. Both the ways data possibility is lost. Okay. So without loss of data also we can format it. But so that's why I said possible data loss. What is a format? It's a define or a redefining the file system. To store data in the device, we need a file system. File system will tell you how to store data or allocate data in the device. Okay. How to arrange the data in the device will tell by file system. Each file system having different kind of properties, guys. For example, NTFS and FAT. So NTFS having a specific type of features which is not available in FAT file system. Or a NTFS is having certain limits, FAT having certain kind of limits. Look at this, FAT12, FAT32 file system. You can FAT32 file system support up to 32 GB. So you can go to this disk management again. I need my virtual hard disk to show you that partition kind of stuff. Mount the disk. So double click itself, it will mount. So look at this. This is 10 GB. Right click 10 GB, new simple volume. Next, next. I want to create a 10 GB drive. You can choose FAT32 or a NTFS. If in case I want to create a 2 GB drive, 2048, 2 GB drive only I want to create it. I am getting three options now because this FAT support a maximum of 4 GB. So 4096 is a 4 GB. So I'm removing 6 and put a 5. Means small 1 MB will be lesser. Okay, three options. 96, 4 GB. So two options. So it's not more than 4 GB. 4 GB or more than 4 GB, that FAT is not supporting. FAT32 is supporting up to 32 GB volume. For example, I'm deleting this. This is 40 GB, right? So 40 GB, I'm taking entire 40 GB. So where is that FAT32? EX FAT is different. FAT32 not came. So FAT file system having a limitation. FAT32 support 32 GB. FAT12 support 4 GB. FAT or FAT12. Okay. FAT12 or FAT16 something is there. NTFS is support more than 2 terabyte. Is support more than 2 terabyte also. And maximum 18 EB. Some places it is showing 9.2 ZB. So simple. I want to create some 10 GB, 10240. Just for fun, just I am selecting FAT32. So you can see when I select NTFS, this option is enabled. Means possible. I can select or do not select. But when I put a FAT32, I can't select or unselect this option. It is grayed. Means FAT32 don't support this feature. See guys, this is E drive. Go to properties. This is NTFS drive, which is 60 GB. This is 10 GB FAT32 drive. In E drive, sorry, not required. E drive properties, F drive properties. What are the differences? NTFS, quota, security, and this one no quota, no security. Okay. So you cannot see quota here. You can't see the security here. Remaining are there. Yeah, sorry. Something we are missing here. See, compress this drive to save the disk space. That option is not there. Compression is not there. Indexed. Allow files on this drive to have a content index in addition to the file properties. That is also not there. Okay. What is this security? Security means, for example, you have a file, maybe the drive, on the drive, or maybe on the file or on the folder. Secure permissions are there, guys. Which user or a group can able to access your file, both read and write access files. So this is file ACL type means. Okay. So NTFS having certain features like security, encryption, compression, quota, and indexing. You can compress the disk so then you can store more data, or can compress the data so you can store more data. You can quota the drive. So quota means if it is a huge volume of data, every user in the system is try to put a data here. So I can put a quota like this user one can store only maximum 10 GB. User 2 can store 20 GB. User 3 can store 10 GB only. Like this. Even it is a 100 GB disk, 100 GB drive, you can allocate users with a small amount of storage space. So they can use up to that only, and it is compulsory they should access. Means it's like a reserved for them. Okay. Small confusions are there, guys. So this is FAT and NTFS. We are using NTFS. What is this EXFAT? Guys, FAT file system is a kind of universal file system type only. Meaning is different operating system, different devices support FAT. Example, you take a mobile phone. The memory cards also having a file system called a FAT file system by default. Okay. But FAT having a limitation. What is that limitation? 32 GB limitation. But nowadays memory cards are 64 GB, 128 GB, 360 GB, 256 GB, 512 GB like that. So the memory cards also having more than 32 GB memory cards are there. So you have to store a data. Plus FAT file system cannot store big files. But nowadays, Blu-ray image, means the big movies content is then a video files are very bigger size. So FAT cannot able to store 2 GB, 3 GB, 4 GB files. So this is exFAT. If you format your memory cards with exFAT, so you can store bigger the files and it support more than 32 GB up to 2 terabytes. exFAT will support. Another file system is resilient file system, which is use a CRC mechanism to protect your data from corruption. Even Linux, Unix kind of operating system use a file system called ext1, ext2, ext3, ext4, currently ext4, XFS file system. Even you share a data from one PC to another PC, in general in a Linux, that is network shared files. Network sharing. So that is called NFS and CFS file system, network file system, um, common internet file system, which is also called a Samba sharing. DVD is also having a file system. Guys, data is storing in a device. Okay, either it is can be a hard disk or it can be a pen drive, it can be a CD-ROM, it can be in a memory card. Okay, it has to store, data has to store in the device, but device must have a file system. Some file systems are compulsory with the operating system compatibilities. For example, NTFS file system may not work in Unix and Linux. May not work, not always correct. Sometimes it will work. Okay, depends upon the internal packages. Okay, so FAT is acceptable in so many places. NTFS may not be accessible in any places. ext3, ext4, Windows system cannot understand ext3, ext4. Okay, so depends upon a device, depends upon operating system, what file system you are using. That is important. Okay, these are the different file system. That's it. And our Windows, we are using Windows, we are using NTFS, these features. Okay, normally, if you are a Cognizant batches kind of stuff, people are there, then definitely we have to tell what is security, encryption, compression, and all. Otherwise, if possible, any possibility is there, guys, I will show you at least security, Discord kind of stuff. I have videos to access and try that one. But your understanding is important. What is the file system? What is the file system? What are the file systems you know? What file system we are using? These are three things are important. That's it. So it is not a good time because if I start a boot processing, it really need lot of interest to learn. Okay, means not a sleeping time. So morning is means actually morning is good, but tomorrow I will start